Hi everyone, great to be with you. So today is going to be a bit shorter than yesterday. So just so you know the background here, I did a book with this title, the title of Tribal Leadership, back in 2008, and absolutely no one noticed when it came out, except a few people. Tony Shea was one, got an email from this person I'd never heard of. His last name had too many consonants in it, from a company that I'd never heard of, and he said he wanted to invite us out to take a look at what he did. And that turned into the famous trip to Zappos. And a few people noticed here and there, some of the top entrepreneurs, top corporate leaders said these guys are onto something. In fact, this is what we intuitively did to build our culture. And as a result, many people said we are now worth hundreds of millions, even billions of dollars. So when the paperback came out, it debuted at #1 in the New York Times. So it was a great, thank you. So it was a great experience of really a calling card for a message. And so the goal here is to present this in a very short period of time, more like a TED format. And there is a TED Talk that I did based on this. But what we're going to do here, because we are at Awesomeness Fest, is we're also going to do this in a way that's going to be fun. So what exactly do we mean by a tribe? I don't mean an endless movement. That's not a tribe, the way we're defining it. In English, there is no word for what we mean by a tribe. So it's a group of between 20 and 150 people. That is a tribe. So unless you have, as an entrepreneur, 19 other people, you count as one, so 19 others, that are fully invested in the success of your venture, then step one is you got to go round out that number. So you might ask why? Well, what's so magic about 20? There's actually a lot that's magic about 20. So when you get 20 and you add one more person, the group will tell that one person how to change their behavior to be part of the tribe. But think about it. You're having lunch with maybe 5, 6 people, and a new person comes and joins your table. That will have a profound impact on what happens with the smaller sizes. So below 20 is a team, a group, a cluster of friends. It's something else. And between 20 and 150 is a sort of black box that we noticed in doing the research for tribal leadership, and a lot of other people noticed, is the basic building block for any human endeavor. So if you want to create a great business, you'd better have a tribe. Not 5 people, not you and a great idea, but 20. Now by invested, I do not mean just financially invested. So your tribe could include a spouse, it could include friends, investors, some of your original clients, some of the people you meet here, and say, I want to be a part of that. They are members of the tribe. But when you hit that magic mark of 20, now you've got something that's substantial. So I mentioned you don't need to be told to build tribes. We do it naturally. Part of our genetic code. But here's the bad news. We do not form good tribes. In fact, 75% of tribes, I'm going to use a technical word, suck. And I'll show you the evidence for that when we continue. So the goal here is to take the tribe that runs your business and make it one of the great ones. One of the ones that people like me write books about, that say this is something important, this is changing the world. So, headline number 1, there's this thing called a tribe, between 20 and 150. Peter Drucker, father of modern management, said, he's alleged to have said, we can't find the chapter and verse on this, culture eats strategy for breakfast. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. Peter Drucker, father of modern management, is the one who said that. So what got us going on this is I didn't know what the heck a good culture was. What does that mean? Does that mean people are happy? Is it like Zappos and they're throwing glitter up? Is that what makes a good culture? Then we should pass out glitter and we'll all be great. That's clearly not what it means. So number 1, what is a good culture? And number 2, how do you take a culture that's maybe not good and make it better? All the way up to one of these amazing world-changing cultures. And so headline number 1 is this. Headline number 2 is there are 5 types of tribes. So you've heard the references here throughout Awesomeness Fest to a level 5 tribe or a stage 5 tribe. This is where we're going to talk about what that is and how you can build one. Okay, so we're going to start off with stage 1. So at the very bottom, this is a ladder. At the bottom is everything you don't want, and at the top is everything you do want. Innovation is at the top. And everything at the bottom is things like violence, threats of violence. So I was in Africa a few years ago, and I had lunch with someone who's kind of famous. I'm not going to say too much about the person because famous in a not very good way. And I just asked him over dinner, how do you get to be president of this union. And this is nothing against unions, okay? And I just said, how do you get to be president of the union? And without missing a beat, he said, simple. You find out where the people who run the union are having dinner, and you kick in the door and you shoot them all with your AK-47. And I laughed. Some of you did a little snicker. That's sort of what I did at dinner. I'm not sure if I was supposed to be nervous or not, or if that was a weird joke, or I didn't know what it meant. Got back to the U.S., looked it up online, and there were a lot of reports, none of them proven that, in fact, exactly that happened. So I tell that story around the world, and mostly people are horrified. What do you mean there are these tribes that perform like that with violence and threats of violence and homicide, cooking the books, doing whatever it takes to survive? The truth is, those are all over the place. But let me give you some numbers. In employed situations, including entrepreneurial ventures, stage 1 is the case only 2% of the time. Meaning, if you bump into this naturally occurring tribe someplace, and they're associated with a business in some fashion, the chance that they're going to be like this, stage 1, is 2%. So that's good news. Now, when we move into the next stage, stage 2, this one's big. This one is 25%. And I mentioned, since this is Awesomeness Fest, let's make this more awesome than a TED Talk that is really a talking head that people are supposed to be able to watch on their iPads. So here's what I'm going to ask. We're going to make this interactive, but it's going to be very short. I'm going to ask you to find 2 or 3 or 4 people sitting around you and just form what we call a clump. So please form your little clumps. 2, 3, 4 people sitting around you. If you don't know people in your clump, say hi. Come on back. A total of 3 questions. 3 questions. These are all going to be very short questions. Everyone in your clump, these are individual answers, should be able to answer each question with maybe a sentence. So question 1, everybody will go around and answer it. If someone's got a pen, or you can type it into an iPad or something, it'd be great to take notes. If you can't, whoever's got the best memory in the group, you are the scribe. Total 3 questions. Okay, so everyone will go around. When you're done, please just hold your hand up. That means that we're done. And when I see a lot of these, we'll move on to the next question and then the next. So here's question 1. Everybody ready? When people around you complain, when they gripe, the question is, what do they complain or what do they gripe about? That's question 1. Here's question 2. This is an individual question. It is, what is one thing, business related, that you are particularly good at doing? Said differently, what is one of your strengths? What is one of your skills? You just say, I am good at blank. And when everybody's gone around and said, I am good at blank, raise your hand. We'll move on to the third and last question. So then what's the question? Why did you decide to come to Awesomeness Fest? That's the third and last question. Why did you decide to come to Awesomeness Fest? Raise your hand when you're done, and then we'll move on. As we say in the U.S., close enough for jazz. Please come on back. So, stage 2 avoids accountability. The whole discussion about core values and what moves us and passion and core passion, yeah, that is absolute and complete bullshit at stage 2. If you've got this around you, most of what you've heard at Awesomeness Fest will not apply. And if you do it, you will come across as a weirdo and people will hate you. So, let's create in the room this kind of tribe. This is the case 25% of the time. 1 in 4 employed tribes is this way. So what I'm going to do is jump off here, and I'm just going to come to one of the clumps, and I'm just going to ask, what is one complaint, answer to the first question, that came up? I'll repeat it back, and we're just going to imagine that we're a group of people on a coffee break, or in the old days, on a smoking break. So what was one complaint that came up here? People complain about other people. So I want you to imagine that we're sipping coffee at breakfast, or we're out later tonight and we're sipping cocktails, and someone says, you know what sucks? Other people. Yeah, man, I know exactly what you mean. And then notice what happens next. You break eye contact, you look down and you shake your head and say, yeah, I just wish everybody else were better. But we're not done. What was the complaint that came up over here? Oh, corruption. Well, there's all this corruption. It's not just that we can't get anything done, but we keep getting slapped around by corrupt institutions. There's just corruption everywhere. Yeah, and then the people we have suck. Well, that's why we can't get anything done, between sucky people inside and corruption outside. So what came up here? Yeah, everything goes wrong for us. We're just unlucky. We tried all the right stuff, all the stuff we were hearing about with attitudes and models and systems. Yeah, we tried that back in 1995. It didn't work then. It won't work now. Well, what good ideas did you hear? One of the great things that I heard was about this past, present, future. Oh, yeah, I tried that a long time ago. You'll be really inspired for like a day, and then the crash back to depression is so bad. Yeah, it's better that you just don't try that. Just one more, and then we'll move on. Yes. I hate my job, and I still do it. That is someone who has quit and not told anyone. 25% of employed tribes. Now, here's the question. So we're a little bigger than a tribe. So we'd be a couple tribes. Maybe there's one over here and one over here. But I want you to imagine that this is how we talk most of the time, maybe even all of the time. Here's the question. How much work would get done? Not none. The bare minimum. Now, what would happen if we brought in Tony Robbins as a motivational speaker? What effect would that have? It would backfire. People would say, wow, I knew they were idiots. I had no idea how much. 25%. You should know that part one of this is going to be on how the tribes work, and then part two is going to be how we change them. Part two is actually going to be much faster, because it's all about moving to the next level. The next one is my personal favorite. I'm great, and I don't know how to say this, but you're not. So I'm great, and you're not. But this is not just about me telling you that and you all nodding, yes, we suck by comparison. It's you said, no, I'm great in a way that you don't understand. Well, no, I'm great. Well, I'm great. So let's notice how this works out. So what if someone comes up and said, let's plan Awesomeness Fest 2014. How can we make it even better to move to the next level? Watch what happens. I'm going to pick on a group. Just want one answer to the second question, which is what is one strength or skill that you have? Project management. So hand goes up. Notice the kind of goofy look on the face. That's the I love myself. I'm great, and you're not. I have an idea. Call on me. Yes. Well, it seems to me, notice I, me, and my are the three most common words. Seems to me that this is one big project. We need to get better at, running the projects. And I think we should make a list of the projects and assign people to the right projects. And wow, that would just be, say it with me, awesome. The problem is, as soon as you're done, other hands go up. So what was one strength that came up back here? Networking. So next hand goes up and says, well, seems to me this is all about networking. Again, notice focus on me. And I think we could take the networking to the next level. In fact, well, you were, rambling on about this tribes and dark side and all that bullshit. I was making a list of how we could improve the networking for next time. Could I have the mic? Because I could go for about 20 minutes. So notice people are speaking from the perspective of their individual strengths or skills. Just one more. What came up here? One strength or skill. Negotiating. So the hand goes up and said, I think that negotiation's really important, and I'd be happy to say something about it. I think if we could really get good at negotiation, that would take us to the next level at the next Awesomeness Fest. So notice what happens. Now your tone is becoming a little glower, and that's good, because notice what happens. Everybody's got an opinion, but there's no moving as one. There's no gelling together. This is the problem in corporations. The big ones, is they're run by stage 3. So we go into a strategic plan. What does that mean? I've got an idea. Well, here's an idea. How about this? Well, I don't think we're doing it the right way. Did I mention my MBAs from Wharton? Who else has one? Oh, you don't? Well, let me tell you what we did at Wharton. So it's all about my experience trumps your experience. There is no leadership at stage 3. There's management, there's not leadership. And the number is 49%. So when I said 75% of tribes suck, do the math and figure it out. 49% at 3, 25% at 2, little tail there at stage 1, that's 2%. We have a major, major problem. Now, stage 4 is all about we're great. Now, this is where something really different happens, where people's individual accomplishment becomes not what they talk about, but instead it is the group commitment. So yesterday, when I was talking about core values, When people align on the same core values, the discussion becomes completely different. Give you a quick little snapshot, and then we're going to hear from what some of you said about why you came to Awesomeness Fest. So every year I do training in Los Angeles, where I live, for the LAPD, the police force, their SWAT team. And one day we were in a meeting, it wasn't as big as this, and I was up here kind of rambling on about something, and their pagers go off, the SWAT team. That meant they were being deployed to go take care of some bad people. One person got up, he was the ranking officer. In the room were people both on duty and off duty, but it's the entire SWAT team, a little over 60 people. And one person walked up to him and said, "Sir, you're not fit to deploy." And he said, "You're right." And he sat back down. He said, "I'm sorry, Dave, I'm going to stay here." Designated someone else to be in charge of what they call the mission. Every time they deploy at SWAT, it's called a mission. And that was the end. Now, what just happened? Well, stage 4 happened. So what was the value that determined that decision? It was fitness. Fitness of what? Of mind, of body. So what was the problem? Was the guy hungover? No, he had the flu. So as he got up, someone else walked up and said, "Sir, you're not fit to deploy. You're absolutely right. You're in charge." And he sits back down. Game over. Notice that decision took less than a second to make. Now, how would that have gone at stage 3? Who in the hell do you think you are? Do you see stripes? Do I see stripes? Let's see. Who would be in charge? That would be me. Let me tell you why you're an idiot. That would be stage 3. But 4 moves together much easier. So it's all about these group commitments. So the last question, third and last, and so why did you choose to come to Awesomeness Fest? So let's see. How about the group over here? What was just one answer? Okay, awakenings becomes very important. How about over here? Yes.
I said because I'm freaking awesome and I wanted to find more people like me.
Okay, because I'm awesome and I want to find people more like me. So awesome could be a value, right? So what else just bubbled up in your group about why people decided to come here? Yes, how about this group right here? Learning and energy. So is learning a value? Absolutely. Is energy a value? Yes, I come to learn. I come to be energized. I come to be around other people who are awesome. Those are the values that define us as a group. This is the case only 22% of the time. 22%. But this is where enormous amounts of work gets done very, very quickly. So 22% is at stage 4. Now, Vision's referred several times to stage 5. So what is that? So as we were collecting our data, we walked into Pixar. They make movies, are now part of Disney. And we said, so who is your competitor? And we expected to hear DreamWorks. Who recognizes what this is? It's from the movie Brave. So here's what people said. Well, our competitor is not DreamWorks. Our competitor is, in fact, hair. Hair? Is your hair? Yeah, we can't render hair. So my wife and I have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, and so we watch the Pixar movies over and over. And sure enough, if you watch the early Toy Story movies, they cannot render hair. They look like buckets on people's heads. And that was a violation of a core value to them. So here's the deal. At stage 4, there has to be a them. We're great, and they're not. So who's they? If we're a sports team, it's whoever we're playing. If it's Awesomeness Fest 2013, well, what happened 2012? Because we got to be better, right? There's got to be a sense of a competitor. But at stage 5, which is the case only 2% of the time, that sense of another drops away. And all that's left is a pure values play. This is where you have the industry-changing innovation that just changes everything. These are the cultures, the tribes, that in fact change the world. Okay, that was the end of part 1. Part 2 is going to be very quick. Part 2 is going to be all about, I'm going to skip Donald Trump here, how do we change these cultures? So what if you have a group at 2? So let's say there's a little group and they kind of suck. So how would you know they suck? You listen and you hear my life sucks language. They're complaining, they're griping, they're avoiding accountability. You find a person in the group who sucks less. How do you know that? Because they want things to be different. And what do? You find the person, like, sir, what's your name right here? Mark. So I say, Mark, let's go get a cup of coffee. So Mark and I are now talking over coffee. Now, if Mark has been swimming in stage 2 for a long time, he can only hear one stage below where he was, where he is, which is 2, and the next one, which is stage 3. So how do I want to talk to Mark? 3. So Mark, I say offline, I think you have real ability. I think you have real potential. I'd love to invest in that and help you to become really awesome. And he might say, well, okay, I'll give it a try. If you've picked well, he will have an epiphany. At some future point, he'll come to you and he'll look at everyone else that he works with and he'll say, I'm great. They suck. What just happened? Mark moved up to stage 3. So now what do? Mark, can you find someone else in the tribe and do for them what I did for you? That's how you change stage 2 to stage 3. Remember, you can only move one stage at a time. So what if you've got all these people around that just want to talk about themselves? Here's why I'm awesome. Let me tell you more about me. Let me tell you what I did. Well, you listen for, to go back to the dark side of leadership, the core values. Remember click down? That is an application that we found that great leaders would use all the time to take stage 3 and move it to stage 4. You ask them a question like, what do you like about your job? And you ask why until it circles back upon itself. And if you find enough people that are focused on the same thing, now you begin to talk in terms of those values and the conversation shifts in the same way it did at LAPD SWAT. In the same way it has here, right? We came as a group of individuals and we're now focused on something much more important. Last one then is, how do we go to this elusive stage 5? Number 1, you must be stable at stage 4. If you're not, don't try to go to stage 5. If you do, you're just going to tick everyone off and they're going to think you're weird. So first thing, you have to be stable at stage 4. Then you pull people aside and say, let's just spend an hour talking about what may be the most important question we will ever face. How can we do something that will make history? How can we do something that will change everything? That was the conversation that Tony Hsieh invited me into when he invited me to Zappos all the way back in 2008. They were at 4. They wanted to find a way to go all the way to stage 5. Now, I can't draw a direct connection between the downtown project many of you have heard about, where they're trying to revitalize Las Vegas, but I'll tell you this. It is a stage 5 project. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Google it later. The downtown project that Tony and the people at Zappos are now doing. It is a clear attempt to move from stage 4 to 5 by doing something that no company in history has ever done. So that's the quick run through on tribal leadership. Let me just mention again, because this is going to be my last time to be with you, that we've got a bunch of free stuff here, davelogan.com/afest. One of the things I just want to highlight, take 20 seconds, is we've got something called a 21-day leadership challenge. It is completely free. It is a video, unfortunately of me, sent to you every day. And when you watch the video, it asks you to do something for 20 minutes. Total time commitment every day is 23 minutes. We've heard back, thousands of people have gone through this, again, it's completely free, that it has changed people's lives, it has changed people's careers. So we've got a special link here for AFest if you'd like to participate in that, along with download the audiobook and a fresh conversation between Tony Hsieh and myself. I just want to say at the end, thank you very much. I look forward to partying with all of you tonight and spending time with you at the temple. This has been an amazing experience. And to each and every one of you, thank you for making this place live up to its name. Thank you for being awesome.